We can begin just by letting ourselves go inward. Just taking some nice deep breaths. And really settling into the moment. We can even think of this whole gathering tonight as an opportunity to rest. Letting ourselves set down the busyness. Even thinking of setting down each busy thought. Setting down each stressful concern. And in this moment, there's a gentle call for you to put down whatever you're thinking of, whatever you're holding on to. You think of placing it on something very soft, placing your concern on a soft pillow. You may notice that as you put your cares in the soft place, that maybe you also start to feel more soft. There's a willingness in us to go deeply within. Almost like how it feels to release a very long held breath. Some part of you knows the relief that comes with that shift out of holding. I get an image coming into my mind of a ballet shoe, kind of dressed with ribbons. And for me, what that signifies is people doing ballet have these very kind of pretty wrappings. But in order to do the ballet move where you stand right on the tips of the toes, it's actually quite painful and even even damaging for long-term people in ballet. And there are times where we may do something like that. We may have something that we wrap in very pretty covering and try to make it look outwardly very nice, but actually under the surface, it might be a very painful thing. So a lot of time in these sessions, we talk about getting like deeper, getting to the heart of the matter, not just kind of stopping at the outer layer that might be wrapped in ribbons or bows, but to actually go deeper, to go to the core, to actually speak about the experience, to look at what's really happening. And it takes a certain amount of, I guess, trust, but also courage to look at the deeper things and not stop at the outer surface level. And that outer surface level may have convinced a lot of people, or maybe what a lot of people connect with, but to actually still be willing to go to that deeper experience. I remember the first time I met someone who had studied ballet. I saw her toes and they were like mangled. They were, I had no idea. I thought ballet was just this pretty dance that people did. I didn't know that people who dance like this for long periods, like inevitably go through damage to their bodies. So again, we want to go past sort of the pretty outer, outward facing vision of how something is and go to the deeper experience. I mean, my initial reaction when she shared, that's just what happens when you study ballet was like, why would anyone do ballet? It's awful. Why would you damage your own body, your own toes, just just to stand a little taller when you dance? I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. But it's actually a pretty normal description of the types of things that happen here in the world, the types of ways we do things. We do things that seem to be normal, seem to be what maybe somebody else even wants us to do. But we disregard the pain that we experience in the process. And it's kind of even helpful symbol because again, with that pretty ballet shoe on, you wouldn't know there was anything happening that was amiss. I mean, again, I didn't for the first 25 years of my life or whatever. I had no idea. But if you take the shoe off, it's plain to see. So that's our journey. That's our journey, is finding out where we are wearing a ballet shoe, where we think we need to be a ballerina. And then considering if that's actually what we truly want. Are we open to looking at the pain that's hidden underneath? I mean, it's only a matter of time before we do. At some point, we're going to look at the pain. Why? Because our awakening is inevitable. So it's really a question. Do you want to look at the pain a little sooner, or do you want to delay looking at the pain? And it's your choice. I mean, when you really start to understand what that choice is, you start to want to look at it sooner, because it's in the looking at it that you actually start to unwind it. You start to do the healing, you start to do the clearing. The pain under the surface starts to shift. But there's a lot of people who want to maybe keep putting on the ballet show. They want to keep putting on the show in their life of whatever form they believe they need to show. Again, there's no judgment around it. It's just a little sad because it means continued suffering. It means healing will come later on rather than sooner. So again, this is a good place to ask, what is your ballet shoe? What is that perhaps pretty on the outside thing that you put on to fulfill a role you think you need to play? And are you willing to question the necessity, the perceived necessity to keep putting that shoe on? I mean, I can only imagine if somehow I had ended up studying ballet when I was young. I could imagine myself enjoying it and doing a lot of the things. But as soon as I realized that doing those specific stand on the toe things was going to damage my body, I would have left the class. That would have been that would have been the end of ballet for me. I'm not going to injure myself for this. And again, a lot of us make these kinds of calls at certain points in our life, certain points of our story where we feel we kind of have to. We feel like maybe that's the choice that's the best one to make. But in this healing sense, those choices can be re-examined. You get to decide now if you want to keep choosing that choice that you decided years ago, decades ago. That's actually really encouraging. You get to really consciously choose what you want, how you're going to be in your life, in the world, in your experience. I had a good talk with Solvay today. We're talking about these patterns that we live by. And when you bring them up into awareness, then you start to see, oh, that's how I've been living my life. Maybe it hasn't brought so much happiness, but now there's a choice. Now there's an option. Now there's a possibility for change. It might not feel smooth. Maybe this is a very, very overlearned way of perceiving. The first time you start to question it doesn't mean it's just going to be gone. But at least now you're questioning, do I want to keep living this way? Do I want to keep making a choice that diminishes my sense of happiness? I don't want you to. But a lot of times we have some sort of belief. Oh, well, this other person's happiness depends on it, though. That's an interesting idea. I need to try to make someone else happy, even if it comes at the expense of my own peace of mind. Uh, that's a good one to look at. And I'll give you a hint. It's probably not even true. And again, as long as these are just sort of built-in ideas in your being, ways that you automatically make decisions by, you can't really make a choice. But as you become more conscious, more aware of what's happening in your mind, what's happening in your sort of default way of living, then there's options, then there's breathing room, then there's a chance for something to shift. And that's pretty cool. Again, I think a lot of the world probably believes that you can't really change. People are the way they are. People don't really change. You hear these sorts of things in our world. Well, that's pretty grim. It's a pretty grim way of being. Somebody has a problem. That's the belief. Oh, they'll never get out of that. It's just not true. Now, some of these deeply held issues, of course, they take a very concerted, focused, persistent willingness to look at the beliefs, to look at what's behind them, in order for them to actually start to outwardly shift. But that's okay. It's okay if things take dedication and persistence. We can be dedicated and persistent. We can be very determined. We can be determined when we see that our mind is upside down, that our thinking is backwards, unhelpful. We can be very persistent in saying, I don't want to keep thinking like this. I don't want to keep perceiving myself this way, perceiving others this way. It leads me to suffering. It leads me to unhappiness. I see how it, kind of unfolds, and it's unfolded that way more than once, maybe lots of times. I want to be persistent. I want to be persistent in choosing to open up my mind. It's worth it. You are worth being persistent in your mind training. You are worth knowing that you can be happy, and not just a little wisp of happiness that comes when something goes your way. No, we're talking about real happiness here. Happiness beyond form. Happiness no matter what happens. Happiness no matter what happens. That sounds pretty good. I mean, it's kind of remarkable. We have examples. Obviously, Jesus is our teacher and he has demonstrated this for us, but we have people who've been in concentration camps and they're able to maintain a positive outlook on things, measured, calm state of mind. Now, of course, that's very unusual. I mean, I've only heard of, I don't know, a handful of the Holocaust survivors who were able to keep that sort of equilibrium. But it is achievable. These are other people, Sometimes people say, "Oh, Jesus woke up," but how can just a normal person like me, how can I achieve such openness of heart and peace of mind? But to have more examples is helpful. Okay, Viktor Frankl, I think the Dutch Ten Boom sisters. These are people who who really had experiences that they could control how they were perceiving even very, very harsh outward situation. This shows us, okay, this is not just, theoretical. This is a lived experience for people. And it's not outside of our realm of possible living. We can live this way too. This is where the determination comes in. We need to be determined that this matters to us. Our state of mind is important. The way that I feel about everything that's happening is what I really want to be on. I want to be aware of it. I want to be dedicated. I want to allow my emotions so that I can come back to my truth. This is a good thing to do. This is a good job. When you really accept this job, you are never unemployed. You can never be unemployed again. You got this job, you're going to do it, and do it all the way to pure happiness. You might say to yourself, have I achieved pure happiness? Am I purely happy? Well, are you as happy as Jesus? I mean, if you're not as happy as Jesus, okay, you're still working on it. It's okay. But that's what you want. You want to be as happy as Jesus. You want to be as loving and as open-hearted as Jesus. Now, let's not take the grim Jesuses. We get some of those in our media, consumption. Brooding Jesus, sad Jesus, angry Jesus. No, I don't believe in any of those Jesuses. It's the happy Jesus, the light Jesus, the Jesus who loved connecting, who loved being with people. He just wanted people to know the truth that he was experiencing, and he knew that they could. That was all that mattered to him. And that's where we want to get to. We want to get to that state of being. I just want to share my love. I just want to share the truth with you because you're worthy of it. And to focus on a little dark sliver when the light is like blazing all around you. Yeah, I don't want you to do that. I want you to know that happiness. I want you to experience the joy. So if you've been focusing on some dark bit in your experience, maybe you can be open to something else, a different perspective on it, a looser grip on it, a willingness to know it's not really what you want to be experiencing. I like how Jesus sometimes would say, those with two ears to hear, those with two ears to hear. Are you open? Are you hearing? You can. You can. Maybe you need to clear your ears out a little. Shared a few times about this experience. Speaking of like hearing, like true hearing, this experience I had a number of years ago. I was at a big Course in Miracles event, and someone was speaking up on stage, and there was hundreds of people in the audience. And right in the middle of this talk, I had this experience. I felt like the ceiling of the ballroom that we were in like opened, and there was this heavenly heavenly flood of music, like angel song, just like pouring down from above, from above, just like washed through me so completely. I melted down into tears of joy and gratitude for being able to hear this beautiful, beautiful music that was beyond music. I mean, I use the word music and song, but they don't convey this experience. But it was a gift of right-minded experience. This was like a little snatch, a little taste of the truth. And I looked around and, no one else was having this experience. They were just listening to the person talking on stage. But these are sort of little openings, and it was no little experience for me. It was beautiful, amazing, life shifting. And all I can say is it happened because I had been cleaning my ears out. I'd been open to hearing and practicing. I've been really doing my best to lay down my grievances and my false perceptions, any of these dark slivers or bits that showed up in my awareness. We get these light experiences. We get these experiences that reflect truth rather than reflecting shadow. And the way that we do this again is we just keep looking at whatever's in front of us right now. Just keep clearing out whatever judgment, whatever unhappiness is here in our awareness. And before I had this experience or similar experiences, I'd read books about people having experiences like this. I thought, oh, that's great. That's beautiful. But just being open, open to whatever unfolds. I just feel I'm going to share another one of these experiences I had. This one actually was when I was young. I was a teenager, and I was very fortunate to be in a very kind of high level choir. And this choir had a little talent show night. And some of the other really beautiful musicians I was performing with and preparing with, this was during rehearsals, went up on stage and shared some music of their own or music that they'd been performing. And just so happened one of the guys, also a high school student, everyone was a high school student, who sang right next to me, was like a I would say world-class pianist, even though he was only 16 or 17 years old. And and he went up on stage and he started playing this extremely beautiful piece by Rachmaninoff, and I never heard anything like it. It just hit me so deeply. I was very moved by this. I felt like masterful performance by this young man. And in the middle of this amazing gift of listening to this piano concerto, I started hearing a woman singing in this beautiful, it was almost like it was planned, like this aria, but there was no one on stage with him. There was no one physically singing. This was a gift from spirit that I was hearing this incredibly beautiful female singer sing along with him, to the point where I actually did turn to my friend I was sitting next to, and I asked if he heard it too. He shushed me because, of course, you don't really talk during a musical performance. So, and it's just, again, we can have these experiences of something beyond what's here, something beyond this normal kind of day-to-day life. And these are gifts. They're little breadcrumbs from spirit that sort of nurture us and encourage us to go deeper and to keep at it, to keep remembering that we want this experience of love and light, and that it is there. It is something that's coming more and more and more. Sometimes hear people going through something tough. It's like this work can sometimes be, in the trenches. To look at our minds fully and to really let things up. And I could just say that the only reason that people would kind of keep going into the trenches, keep going into this deep inner work, is because there's a payoff. There is a gift that comes from this work, and it is deeper and deeper, broader and fuller happiness and well-being. And once we've had a few of these shifts, like there's no going back. We get lighter, we get happier, we get more free. We just can't fit back into the smaller, tighter, less happy self we once were. That's beautiful. But it means that the path is to keep going. Even if there's another trench up ahead, it's okay. It's okay. We'll get through this one too. It was a beautiful movie. I mean, kind of intense, a war movie that came out. I think it was called like 1912, World War One. I might have the title wrong. But the whole movie is shot in just like one sequence. It just follows a couple different people, but mainly one core soldier. And he comes to this point where he is like fearless. He knows what he needs to do. And he just runs into the quote unquote danger zone. He actually knows that he's not going to get where he needs to by kind of going through the trenches. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to get the message that he needs to deliver in time. And he jumps out of the trench actually, and he goes straight to where he needs to go. There's this sense of like an intense fearlessness. Like the world cannot touch me because I have this purpose. And we start to actually feel that. We start to live from that place. And that's it. That's what we're going for. What would your life look like if you had zero fear? Zero fear. I mean, I'm not saying less fear. I'm saying absolutely no fear. I mean, maybe it's hard to imagine. I don't know. I don't know what I'd be doing if I had absolutely zero fear. Maybe that's a good thing to think about. Maybe it's a good thing to see what those fears are that's between you and that experience. Because that's what you want to heal. That's what you want to set down. That's what you want to release from your mind. What does Jesus call the mind in the Course? He calls it a holy altar. Holy altar. What's on this altar in you? Is it heaped with all these piles of fear? Is it smothered with old baggage and just heavy stuff? Let's start cleaning the altar. Let's start clearing the altar. And if it seems like way too much, don't worry. We can just start with one part of it. Start with that first thing that comes to mind. But I think to even start to think of your mind as a holy altar, that's a good thing to start to adopt. I mean, if you really think about it, what is an altar? An altar is a place of special honor, special sacredness. Sometimes people create an altar in their home. If they do that, that place or that corner of their abode is like the holiest place. They would not let someone place garbage there. They would not themselves place garbage there. So, what's happening in the altar of your mind? Are you giving it due honor? Are you really sacredly treating this most holy of places? You can treat it with holiness. You can treat it with love and care. And again, you can because you're worthy of it. You're worthy of kindness, compassion, and love. So again, what's the process? Come to your altar. You look at what's on it. You can even treat it as though like you're visiting somewhere else. Like if you visited a sort of abandoned chapel and you walk inside and it's maybe dusty and dirty. Maybe there's a hole in the roof, leaves have fallen in. But you want to care for this place. What are you going to do? You're going to start sweeping, you're going to start cleaning, you're going to start clearing. At some point, you're going to fix the hole in the roof. This is what you want to do with your feelings, with your mind, with your being. I mean, it's okay to get out the broom. It's okay to do some sweeping. And really, the only reason you wouldn't is because you don't think you're worth it. You don't think that sacred place is worth it. But even that's not that big of a deal. It's just a mistake. It's just a misperception. At some point, you will realize you want to honor this. You want to honor your altar. Why will you realize this? Because Holy Spirit honors your altar. Holy Spirit treats the altar in you with care and love and kindness. He knows you're afraid of going there. He knows you're afraid of clearing out some of those things. And you know what? He puts absolutely no pressure on you. But he might nudge you. He might encourage you to go there. Why? Because Holy Spirit knows when you clear out this stuff, you're going to feel happier. You're going to feel better. Holy Spirit loves you. But you have to learn that you're worthy of the love. And you are. This is like the core thing, because if you knew without a doubt that you were worthy of this love, if you never wavered on this at all, you would be like an arrow through anything that needs healing. You would be like a straight line all the way back to your remembrance of God. It's this doubt that you're worth it that delays you, that leads to uncertainty, wavering. So that's why we are all about the healing. As you keep healing, you will experience your worthiness of love. You will know more and more and more until you are 100% certain you are worthy of love. And you might already have like resistance or rejection of this. Those other people, they're worthy of love. But oh no, no, you don't know my list. Yeah, look at this thing. Look at this thing. This proves I'm not worthy of love. This thing that happened 14 years ago, that was bad. I cannot be forgiven for that. That's not true, but it's true that you believe that. It's true that you believe you're unforgivable until you actually start to question it. And we want to dig deep. We want to clear everything out. All of the self-judgment, all of the judgment of others. It's all one judgment anyway. Unworthiness of love. It doesn't matter if you think you're unworthy of love or someone else is unworthy of love. It's all a misperception. It's all an attack on your truth. We go so far with this, we realize not only are you worthy of love, you are love itself. You are actually love. Love created me like itself. What does that mean? It means you are love. Well, if you are love, can you also be judgment? No. If you are love, can you also be fear? No. If you are love, can you also have all kinds of heavy mistakes that you don't think you can ever let go of? No. No, 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 no. If you are love, you are just love. You are only love. The rest is a story. And it's a story you don't need to keep buying. It doesn't matter if you bought it over and over and over again for years or decades, however long. You don't need to buy it anymore. You might be in the checkout line ready to buy it again, but don't do it. Don't do it. No, I'm not buying this. I'm getting out of line. All I am is love. That's all I want to buy. I just want to buy the truth. And you don't even really need to buy it. It's just here. It's just when you let go of all the rest, it's just here. The sun just shines its light, just shines its light out into the universe. Except for this is even more because the sun has an expiration date. This love never expires. But it's still so tempting to believe that some of these dark spots in the mind, they're just too dark. They're too stuck. I can't really heal that thing. It's just not true. How many people I've heard over the years tell me that their ego is especially bad? No, sorry. You do not have a worse ego than others. No. But you may believe you do. And that's great, because that's something you can work with. I have a belief my ego is worse than others. other people can heal their stuff, and I don't seem to be able to heal my stuff. Okay, there's all kinds of these good, juicy beliefs in here. Let's start handing some of these over to Holy Spirit, asking for forgiveness from these false perceptions. Anytime you start to think, I'm uniquely, burdened by this. But it's a very famous refrain. It's a very old song, but you don't have to sing it. That song, they even try to drag Jesus into it. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Oh, Jesus knows it's not special. Come on. He does know your sorrow. He knows the way through it too. But he also knows that it is something that's going to shift. You're going to come back into the truth of yourself. That's really what Jesus knows. We were just talking about Jesus, and I shared that I at times have this image of Jesus as sitting around a campfire. Just a very kind of warm image. Jesus is sitting around the campfire, and he's just sitting there with us. And whatever experience we're in, he's there, right by our side. And then whenever it feels like somehow we can't connect with Jesus, it's because we've left the campfire. And he's just sitting there waiting patiently. He knows we'll come back when we're ready, when we're ready to join again by the warmth of the fire. Come out of the cold. And it's kind of like that, if we've been out in the cold for a long time, it almost like seeps into us. It's like we can feel it. Sometimes people say, I can feel the cold in my bones. Well, this ego world is a place that's very cold. But we're welcome back to the fire. And that fire starts to warm us. And it doesn't just warm us on the surface, it actually goes into those deep places too. Till we're warmed through and through. Until we're the one that never leaves the campfire. Because we're just there, ready to welcome whoever's coming out of the cold. So as always, there's space if anything wants to be brought forward, if wants to share something, if anyone has been feeling a little cold, wants to come to the fire. Elena.
I want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's someone I'm seeing frequently is bringing up sickness and other people's sickness and aches and body symptoms and all these things. And I can just feel like I'm not really interested.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know, because part of me wants to be honest and just say, look, I'm not really interested. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not really kind.
Well, there's different ideas around what kindness is, because I think what you just described is sort of the social contract, that if
Yeah, I
somebody
feel pleasing, and it feels like, okay. So I asked myself, well, what would Jesus have done? Like, but I actually don't know.
Mhm,
Also, I've been reading Ken Wapnick a bit, and he's all about being kind. But then again, what is kind? And what is
mhm,
kind to me is not kind to myself. I feel like a hypocrite, and I feel it's, yeah, in a way, it's hurtful to do that to myself. Just to
yeah,
listen and accept, and it's ongoing stuff. And in this case, it's one of them is actually two people. One of them is actually my landlord. And he's in his 80s, and just to tell him, look, I'm not interested. I don't know how to do that. If I dare, I mean, I would like to, because I keep, as soon as I step out of my front door, he's there. And
mm,
there's always some bullshit coming out.
mhm.
And yeah, that feels like a judgment, but that's how it feels. And it's come to that place that whenever I'm to go out, I'm actually checking before if he's out. But what happens is that many times when he's not and I go out, he just comes out his front door, you know, just next to me.
Mm.
And yeah, basically I'm so, yeah. At some point I was actually frustrated with spirit. Why do I bump into him all the time? I really don't want to do that. It's annoying, and yeah, I just want to, come to a point I just want to say, fuck off, get out of my face, go
Yeah,
away.
that's because, Lena, that you've been biting your tongue for all this time. So
Yeah.
this is again what sort of passes for kindness in the world is to nod along with someone, or to, kind of not be true to yourself because you think that's how you should behave. But you actually can kindly say to someone, I'm really not interested in this. I'm going to go, without attacking them or without being against them. And I think this is what you can start to practice.
I find it particularly hard when it's older people. It's so
Mm,
learned to be, well, for me at least, to be very, very polite.
mm.
Polite is to accept whatever they're
Yeah.
doing.
Again, there's different ways to do it. You can say it directly. You can say, "I just need to go." That there are ways to basically not stay and listen, that are, ways to honor yourself. But I think at some point with him, it sounds like you will have to speak up. And again, to just let that come from, you can let that come from kindness. You can say what you need to say kindly, even if it's uncomfortable.
Okay, good. It's that honesty. So it's so difficult sometimes.
Mm.
But again, you feel like you're gonna explode with rage at some point. I just, wow, I want to smack him in his face. But yeah,
Yeah. So you obviously have been holding it back for a long time. And
yeah.
this is what the clear communication is about. It's to, and again, you can be gentle even in your saying, I don't want to, talk about this with you in some way.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up.
And I have another question. It
Hmm.
is a body thought.
Hmm.
I have a problem with the conscience,
Hmm.
and I have had thoughts about there are some bodily practices. I don't know how to say it in English, but that you can do for that. But then I just go, okay, I'm not a body, and this, and
Mm.
but actually it has become such a big problem that I'm actually cursing Jesus.
Mm.
Was yeah, it's like a handicap, and I want to, if there is a way that I can help myself with that, I'd like to use it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we're guided to be very practical. So just like, you know, you wouldn't like let your car fall apart from not taking care of it. You don't have to, you can still also do the same thing with your body. You can care for it the best you can, but you don't have to identify with it. So that's the practice, is to start to actually, take the steps you need to care for your body. If there's some exercises that are helpful, or if seeing a professional who might have some ideas about it is helpful, you can take these steps. um, but again, that's different than sort of putting the body on an altar, putting it high on a pedestal. You want to still remember that your truth is spirit, even as you take the steps that are just normal steps that anyone would take, to address an issue.
Thank you.
So, yeah, yeah, we can still do all the things we need to in the world to take care of our body. If we think of our body as a vehicle, that sort of carries us through life, then we also just want to care for it like you would a bike or a car or any vehicle that you had. It's good to do the maintenance and to notice if there's, yeah, thoughts about the maintenance, thoughts about, oh, I should do it this way, I shouldn't, or if you think one type of maintenance is more spiritual than another type of maintenance. These are a lot of concepts we have around taking care of the body as well. And it's good just to notice these things, because we just want to wash our mind of it. um, and we can start to even be led and guided around how is best for me to care for the body and to keep it going, without it being sort of a obsessive thing, but just a caring thing. And I would also just encourage you to look at your mind around, kind of, if you're cursing Jesus, around how the body is functioning, or maybe not always functioning ideally. It's good to look at that too.
Yeah, I usually, when it happens, I feel angry, and I usually say, well, thank you, Jesus. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think I'm blaming him, but yeah, I usually hand it over. Like,
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. If at first you're angry at Holy Spirit or Jesus, but yeah, then to just offer that over too and say, I'd like to heal this. I'd like to come back into, linking up. So yeah, all of it will clear. Yeah. Thanks, Lena. So I think I just want to kind of end on this note of your worthiness. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of kindness. It is the truth. Any part of you that doubts it or dismisses it, you can dismiss that part. Yeah. I feel your worthiness. I know your worthiness. Yeah. I love you. Love you all. Have a beautiful rest of your night. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you again soon.